Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now. This weekend, man. You know, on the app, you guys can go make picks on UFC fights. This weekend, UFC 299 is probably the best card of the year. Overall, yeah, not probably. It is the best card of the year. 300 doesn't even catch fire to this, I don't think. I think the matchups here just are nuts, but 300 is pretty good. But yeah, let's start with man, where do we start, man? Like, let's just start from the top, man. Sean O'Malley versus Marlon Vera, Chito Vera, the rematch. The first fight, Vera destroyed him. Literally, pretty much destroyed him, right?
An injury as well, wasn't it?
There was the injury, but yeah, I forgot about that.
Do you know why? It's only because I watched a thing on O'Malley. It's like the rise of or something. It's something on YouTube at the moment, which is in the build up to the UFC 299, and it just went back over, and I thought, oh yeah, I forgot about that. There was a point he stepped. I think he might have taken a low kick on that leg just prior to it, but then he stepped back, and you see his ankle roll out.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
so then it was from damage, right?
Then it was from damage. It may, I think he got kicked in that leg prior to that, but then he rolled it and then he got starched.
Yeah. I believe that is what happened. Now I remember thinking about the fight. He did land the kick a few times, but that one
I think it was a calf kick.
Exactly. Yeah. And then he went back and he did that Henry Cejudo. Remember when Cejudo was doing that? He kind of did that, and then after that, you know when Chito smells blood.
Yeah,
he's gonna go in there and go berserk.
He's a finisher. Like he don't mind taking one to land one, but if he lands it, he lands it, right? So,
but this fight is different, man. O'Malley, every time, like it seems like he's going to lose. He doesn't. It's not a Chito fight, but you know, like even like Sterling when he fought Sterling is so big for the division, and his grappling is so strong, but O'Malley was able to find that chin.
Yeah. I didn't see that one going like that either.
Nobody did.
I like that one thing. I seen an interview actually on that, and he's the one guy was telling Sean, he's like, the grudges had Sterling winning the first round. He's like, oh yeah, well, how'd they score the second? Like, I mean, same with that injury though, right? Like, was he injured before? You know, like probably not. So it's like, I don't know, respected Chito, right? Like, there's excuses in this game, but like, I don't know. There's a lot of guys that don't make those excuses as well, right? Just take it on the chin, and it's like, we're going to get it back, right? But Sean's got that confidence, right? And I love confidence.
The bottom line is he lost, and this round 2, isn't it? So
and he's probably the favorite.
It's gonna be good. I'm very much looking forward to it. It's going to be a great striking battle. I believe. Yeah, definitely. It's going to be fireworks.
Do you believe in that myth? I don't know if it's a myth, but it's a theory, right? That like when you become a champion, you become like a certain level better than everybody else in the division. Do you feel that is something there? There's something to that?
I think that would probably depend on your own mental state and capacity. Like some people, absolutely. I think that other people, like Conor McGregor, for instance, when he was on the come up, he already believed in his head he was there.
Right.
So I don't think him winning the belt would have solidified anything for him. But then I do believe it would to certain people. Absolutely. Yeah.
I think it happened to Leon Edwards, to be honest.
Yeah. And then there's also the very same the counter to that is, you know, you fought so hard to get this belt and stuff. Is the hunger the same? Like Dana's always talking about, like Conor winning that 100 mil, like, you know, getting his ass kicked against Floyd. He did all right, but like still, like, that changes a man, right? Like, if you don't, would you fight if you need 100 mil? I'll probably fight till I die anyway. But you know, like, same thing with getting the belt.
The hunger's not going to be the same. It can't be, because if you're initially fighting to feed your family and put food on the table and to just get by, well, the hunger is going to be deeper than if you've got 100 million sat in the bank.
Yeah,
because you're not having to fight for that. Yeah, and it doesn't mean you can't be passionate about it. It doesn't mean you can't pull off, you know, great things, but I definitely don't believe the hunger would be the same. No, it can't be. To me, wouldn't.
Yeah, so many variables
Yeah.
about fighting, right? Like mental period, I feel like is very like underutilized, right? Like you hear about some people, like we're all talking about it right now, right? But for some people, it's just like on the back burner, right? Like what are your credentials and stuff, right? Like I had a post actually come up yesterday. It was 8 years ago to the day. I was talking shit about when Diaz choked out McGregor, right? I was like, did he predict it now? You know, Mystic Mac, you know, like, and he was making fun of him about teaching kids jujitsu a week before that. And then he got choked out by a guy who's still teaching kids jujitsu. So I just think you need to be humble, right? But you need to have that confidence, and you gotta have that dog too, right? Like it can't be fake confidence, right? Because sometimes you don't really, you can't tell. It's just opinions, right?
Yeah.
Like I can't tell if you got fake confidence or same, right? Until it's exposed.
Exactly
So,
that, yeah. And if it is fake, it does get exposed.
Right.
So there
Yeah.
you go, yeah.
True enough, right? Like even my opponent, I feel like he's got a little bit of stuff that needs to be exposed. I'm getting a little bit more facts, you know, like he's just calling me a goofball in the gym, a goofball, and like a rip-off decision losing to JJ. It's like, well, you lost, bro. So fucking shut your mouth.
Yeah.
You know, and you
Well-
choke, you beat a 43-year-old and one championship who just lost to a 510-10 fighter last week. So shut your fucking mouth. You ain't ever fought nobody like me, Colton. That's how I feel anyway, right? But I think anybody is entitled to their own opinion, right? I feel like a lot of people try to use their opinions as facts, and that really pisses me off because it's like I feel like everybody should get an opinion, but like when you start telling me that your opinions are facts and I don't agree with you, I don't even really want to talk to you anymore. I probably would rather punch you in the head, you know. Like,
But the thing is, this game is different. The
Yeah.
game is not about facts. The game is about headlines.
right?
The
Yeah.
game is about attraction. The
True.
game is about money. Now it's become that, right?
Yeah. No,
it's
it
becoming more
has.
clear now than it has ever, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't mind it. Like I like people that talk shit. I like people
Yeah.
that go out and be like, "Yo, I didn't never lose." I'm like Chael Sonnen. Like I never lost a fight. Clearly, he's lost
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
fights,
True.
right? But there's like a comedic edge to that to Chael
Yeah.
Sonnen. It's
Mm.
like he's comedically
He does it well, though.
Yeah,
doesn't he?
yeah.
You
He
know?
does it comedically well. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But other guys that try to copy that,
Right.
so to say, it didn't work out because they don't have
100%.
that comedic wit.
Yeah,
Right.
you see it often, and you see guys who play up to the camera, and you can tell it's not authentic. It's not
Mm.
them. You know, like there's guys who talk loads of shit and they badmouth, but you speak to them they're not that guy.
Mhm.
And there's also there's also a difference between being able to fight in a controlled environment inside a cage and being able to have an altercation away from that. You know, I come to martial arts quite late, and my childhood was full of altercation, and you know, I got in a lot of trouble as a kid. I wish I'd found martial arts sooner, if I'm honest, but that's another story. Anyway, I know what it's like, and I know there's a difference between being able to handle business inside of a cage and being able to handle business outside of the cage, and vice versa. And just because you're good at fighting, it doesn't mean you're that guy
No.
without the cage there. Because if someone disrespects me in any kind of setting, then it's on.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter.
Mm.
But other people, they may say that, but they don't mean it. If that makes sense. You know, there's
so many.
There's a big difference in it. And
There's so many.
people need to be careful with what they say, because you know, you look at the Colby Covington Masvidal stuff. Well, prodded the bear and gave him a load of shit, and then when it got heated, he runs to the police. You know, like
I don't like that.
People come on, no,
because there's two sides to that, right? There's the side of like this is entertainment,
Right.
You know what I mean? This is entertainment, so like whatever he says, you can believe, even if it's complete lies, but you can, to promote the fight. You know, like you see guys after the fight, he's like, yo, you've seen it happen in like major fights where the dude comes up to the other dude after the fight and be like, yo, it's all, like all of that stuff was
what happened with McGregor and Khabib. He said it's just business.
Yeah. It's not.
You went too far.
So, like
100%.
if you're brave enough to say something to people, like even through the media,
Mhm.
right? Even on social media, like it's you saying these things, it's
Yeah.
you writing these things, right?
Yeah,
And whatever you say, you're accountable for. Like whenever, even if it's lies, like you're accountable for it. Like if I went online and started to like, attack, let's say I started to attack like Rafael Fiziev online, you know what I mean? Just talking mad shit, like something like Kobe would do, I would do to him.
Right.
Like I would have to, like if I saw Rafael Fiziev in person, like I would have to handle that
Yeah,
shit,
exactly.
like
Yeah,
against him. Like it's not like,
Hopefully you're faster
we're
runner.
not- yeah, that's what I'm saying. I might
You look
be.
pretty quick,
Yeah,
man.
I'm pretty fast for my
Yeah, yeah.
size, but you probably catch me though.
Yeah.
But the thing is, yeah, you got to be accountable. A lot of dudes are not accountable. Did you see the exchange that happened maybe today or the other day, like during a fight week between Sean O'Malley and Marlon Vera?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, when-
Tell him to suck his dick and shit.
Yeah, like, that was like the best like response to like Sean O'Malley saying, you ready to get knocked out? And he's just like, why don't you come over here and suck my dick? Like,
Yeah. You don't give a fuck, right?
And Sean O'Malley was so shocked that he was just like, did he just tell me to suck his dick?
Like even most recently, like with look at this Sean Strickland Duplessis thing play out, right? Where he's like,
Sean Strickland, I'm not a fan.
yeah, hey,
I think it's fake. It's so fake. Like you can't cry and then attack people's wives.
no, like I definitely,
I'm not into that.
when that whole thing got exposed, I agree with you. I lost a little bit of respect for Sean, but I don't know.
I like
is
the way
still.
I like the way he doesn't pull punches, and I like the way he says shit. But then I also believe that there's a line.
Yeah, you gotta pay. You gotta pay.
Well, you cross the line,
Yeah.
and then when someone else crosses a line on you,
Yeah.
You don't
well,
like
now it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's not okay. Now
Yeah.
you're sending text to them like, "Yo, don't talk about."
But even like Duplessis, like I love how he handled that, right? Like he
Yeah.
handled that like a man. He didn't have
Duplessis
to.
is
He didn't have to.
I like him a
shake.
lot. I think he's gonna
Nah.
be.
He didn't have
fight
to
for him.
shake Sean's hand
No, he
and
didn't
stuff
have to
and
do
be
all
like,
that.
he could have just been like, "Oh yeah, bring that gun,
Yeah.
buddy." Like
Do
fucking,
whatever,
you
yeah.
ain't getting no gun into Canada anyway, Strickland. You better connect quick.
Duplessis is
But-
gonna be a champion, I think, for a little bit.
Yeah,
That dude's
yeah,
good.
yeah. That's
He's wild. He's
Mhm.
gonna lose the belt, but I think he'll
Yeah.
win the belt again. Like he's gonna be around. For
I
a
feel
while.
like that's a better matchup though, for Izzy than Strickland. Like how that
Yeah,
all
'cause-
played
Yeah.
out. Like,
yeah.
because
like
Duplessis likes to come in like
yeah.
this,
yeah.
and Izzy's the
I think
counter, like,
Izzy's
he's a
next,
sniper.
right?
yeah, he's a
Yeah.
sniper from distance. Like you can't come in
Mhm.
like this and a sniper. They'll
And-
just, especially how long he is, you know what I
Mhm.
mean, and then he just knows distance. But anyways,
Yeah.
let's go back to Sean O'Malley. But we're like
Alright.
veering off too much.
Yeah,
Izzy
yeah.
and shit. The
Yeah.
fight that's not even happening yet. Who wins the rematch? O'Malley or Vera? Does Vera become the first Ecuadorian UFC champion ever? They have 40 credentialed media from Ecuador just for Marlon
yeah,
Vera?
I saw that.
That's crazy. That's how popular he is.
I don't want to let the betting world play into how I see that fight going, but like I don't know. I go Sean O'Malley, but like hey, I'm gonna put my money on Chito if the odds are good enough, right? He won the first one. I feel
Plus
like
200.
and just Sean O'Malley winning the belt, I feel like we were just touching on that about how like your confidence goes up when you win the belt or whatever, everything changes, right? Well, if I beat Ashley or whatever, and we're gonna have a rematch, that shit plays a factor too. Like in
Yeah,
my
you
head,
felt each
yeah,
other now.
it doesn't matter. Like you
Mm.
can play that calf thing all you want. Like I could play the mental game that like I got my hand raised, and you're still making excuses. You know, suck
And-
my dick.
Suck my dick.
And Chito, he's only 31. He's
Really?
not even old.
31.
Yeah,
Yeah.
O'Malley's 29. They're very similar in age. Cheeto might be actually in his prime than O'Malley is.
Shit.
That could be a factor.
And O'Malley's 29. Eh.
Yeah.
Holy, I'm 29, man. I'm like, and you were saying that you started it later, or whatever. I was like, I see some of these child stars. Like, shout out to my boy Chayton Velo. He just won the All Ontario's OFSA last night. I stayed up till 5:30 to watch the kid. Project. I've been training with this kid since he was like 7 years old, but
Yeah.
I never even made it to the second day. I was never seated, so I had to go to the best guys. But I, like Ashley was just talking about, I got some demons before the whole MMA world. I had my first fight at like 19, 20, but you know, I got expelled twice from 2 different high schools for fighting and shit. Some kid pulled a knife out on me, and then I had a little bar fighting career as well after that. That was
Fighting career.
I had actually about almost.
It's getting weird, huh?
Is
Oh,
it?
go ahead.
Yeah.
Continue talking.
I got about 40 fights in MMA, including amateurs and Muay Thai now, but I
That's
still
like
think I got a
5
few
years.
more bar fights actually on my regimen. So I'm glad those days are gone, and you know, there's a little bit of growing up that had to take place. But
Oh, for sure, man.
that's the game, right? Fucking,
Yeah,
you
that's
can't you can't evolve in this shit unless your head's in the right place. So
Tapology predictions. There's 3,013 picks. 78% O'Malley.
yeah,
They believe.
I think those are a little
I-
bit bullshit though,
I
because
think it's closer than that. I do think O'Malley, like my head says O'Malley. I mean, it's a great fight, and I think it could be one of them. It could either be a quick finish either way, or it could be a 5-round war, and I'm excited for it. But I think my head says O'Malley. I don't see it being like a landslide like that. I mean, I think it's closer than what the Tapology odds are saying.
I think O'Malley's gonna win this. I'm gonna tell you guys why. The reason why is Chito. His game plan's the same. If you watch his fights, he just fights the same,
right,
against any kind of opponent, right? And sometimes it works. Sometimes he outguts these guys. Sometimes he grits it out and wins and finishes guys, right? But a lot of the fights he's losing.
right, like Dom, like that was.
There was
one.
a lot of fights that he was losing until he won them, right? And that's a great attribute. You can't do that against O'Malley. I think O'Malley, like you said about Izzy, O'Malley's a sniper.
Again, as well, like you just said, that he has the same patterns. He does the same thing. Well, someone like O'Malley's going to expose that, and he will have trained for that, and he will be looking for these little holes and these little things to exploit.
Yeah.
So that being said, yeah, you wouldn't rule out O'Malley knocking him out, would you?
No, I would not.
No.
I think I think someone's gonna get knocked out. But
Yeah,
I think
both finishers.
O'Malley just has a higher percentage in my eyes.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
You know, but Chito could go in there and go berserk and be like, "Yo, there's 40 credentialed media out here. I can't lose."
Yeah,
you know, like I'll die in here. Like if that mentality comes, I think Chito wins that battle every single time. If I die in here,
right,
that mentality, like
he's got that.
Yeah,
Right,
so
he's got that.
It's been, I've seen it a few times now. It's been touted like this is huge because O'Malley's on the card. But you've just said then about the media. Well, that would indicate that, well, also Vera is popular, yeah? But you've also got the whole card, right? I don't think it's great because O'Malley's on it. I think it's a great card, and I think it's great that O'Malley is on the card, but I don't think it relies solely on O'Malley to make it that card, if that makes sense.
No.
I think the card is outstanding from the prelims up, to be honest. The main card's fire, the whole lot. And then, I think,
there was a discussion about that. They're discussing that they put O'Malley as the main event and it wasn't selling like they thought it would.
No,
really.
So that's why it started to build up and more fights were added and more fights were added.
Yeah.
And so hey, we got like a gift because of the scenario, right?
True.
But let's go to the co-main. So we all got our picks. O'Malley, what's yours?
Yeah, I'm O'Malley too.
O'Malley.
Yeah.
All right. Poirier versus Saint Denis. Benoit Saint Denis. He's another berserker, but doing well as a berserker, right? All around phenomenal fighter. And you got Dustin Poirier, a legend. You know, you could actually say that he's a legend, not just like, oh, that guy's a legend. No, Dustin Poirier, look at his credentials.
Paid in full.
Yeah, legend, right? But he's a 35-year-old legend. And remember what that 35-year-old's not doing very good, right? And especially at that high level, right?
Better than 43, Cole.
You're 35 now. So the thing is, like, for like the highest level,
the thing is with it as well, like I said earlier, I come to the sport late. I've been training 10 years. That's all I've been training.
Miles.
I fell in love with it, and I trained hard from the offset, and I've been changing my lifestyle as well as becoming a fighter and everything else. So I'm also still progressing. So for me, I'm not like a 35-year-old who's been training since I was 10 and my body's battered. You know, I've taken severe head trauma. I've wrestled since I was a kid and I'm broken. I still feel pretty fresh. So
well, that's a huge
curse.
benefit. That's a huge benefit. But these guys are not like
no, they're not. Absolutely,
they've been training and they've been like Poirier's been through some wars,
and he's been at the top of the sport for a long time,
and just going into wars too, like just damage after damage. It accumulates, man.
And some guys just get burnt out too, right? Like,
did you know, like Gaethje, right? Gaethje, he knocked Dustin Poirier with a head kick, right?
Right.
And this is my theory. Gaethje never throws head kicks. Never. He doesn't even practice head kicks.
Right.
Before the camp that he did against Poirier, he said he practiced a couple, and that one landed. But I don't think it was like the head kick and he just landed it perfect. I think Poirier just maybe the damage is catching up.
Yeah.
And that head kick wasn't as hard as we thought it was. It's just him. He just can't take the shots anymore. I hope not. But that's what happens in fighting nowadays. We've seen it happen now in the UFC the last couple of years. Guys just hit like they're great, but they just hit the wall, and then you got killers coming up, just like licking their lips, right, licking their fingers for someone like Dustin Poirier. So Saint Denis, they want to build Saint Denis. They want France. The UFC, you could tell, like they went to South Africa. Who did they push?
Yeah,
Dricus. Now Dricus is a champion. If he loses the belt, who cares? We already got South Africa now, right? It's like marked off the list. Now we need to get France in there somehow. Cyril Gane was French, right?
Yeah, that's
but he was interim.
I fought on the same card as him, man.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, actually.
Cyril Gane.
That was in my 1 and 3 part of my career. I fought for TKO, but half my fights have been on UFC Fight Pass. But he actually got signed to the UFC after just 3 fights.
That's crazy.
He knocked out this Adam Dykstra guy that was killing everybody, and he then 3-0. He got signed to the UFC, and he's been turning it up ever since.
Do you think that the style that Saint Denis has against Poirier is kind of like lackadaisical? Like, because he's lackadaisical in the start.
I think it could be dangerous. Yeah,
that's what I'm looking at. And if he's not able to take the damage as well.
Well, I know, yeah. So going on that, then, and yeah, my pick is Saint Denis for that. Absolutely. I do. I think it's time for the passing of the torch, as they say.
True. 35, Saint Denis 28. He's hungry. We're talking about the hunger thing.
I saw something, I can't remember where I saw it now, some stat, and it was saying, I can't even remember what it was, but it was saying whatever the year was, Saint Denis was still in the military and Poirier was like 20 fights into his career or something. And he hadn't even made his debut. I think it was like 2016. So it just goes to show how long Poirier has been around in comparison. So it's like, it's the young lion, isn't it?
Yeah. Poirier has almost 40 fights now. Saint Denis, this will be his 15th professional fight, which is like half. More than half, right? Just pretty insane.
Yeah.
Man, I want Poirier to win, but I think this year is the year of the changing of the guard and all these matchups that are coming up with like guys like Poirier fighting the up and coming guys. I think the up and coming guys 9 out of 10 times are gonna win these fights. It's just they're giving these opportunities to them. And we, 300 has Armin versus Charles Oliveira, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's another fight that's kind of like this.
That's a banger.
Yeah, it's a banger, but it's kind of like this. Like Armin's the one that's rising up, younger guy. Has been around for a long time. Let's set this dude up for a major fight. You know who was supposed to be fighting Dustin Poirier? Saint Denis was the number 2 option. It was supposed to be Fiziev.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but
he's already better?
No, but he had the knee.
Oh, okay.
Even off the loss against Gaethje, they wanted Fiziev to fight Poirier.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, that's what Fiziev told me. And but his knee, he just had got the knee surgery. So he was just like, he was mad, just like, yo.
Yeah.
So the UFC, they love Fiziev. But hey, Saint Denis, he's ties in. I think he's gonna do well. I'm picking him to win. I think he finishes Poirier. I think he finishes him in the first round. I think he's gonna go berserk on his ass. It's tough to say that, right? Because it's Poirier, but hey, man, this is the fight game, man. You gotta go with what you feel.
That's why it's the greatest sport in the world, and I don't even look at it as a fucking sport, man. Like you're trying to take food off the table, right? Like in a lot of these guys' eyes, right?
But the thing is, like Saint Denis, I'm not like sold on him yet, to be honest. I think he beats Poirier, but I'm not sold on him. Like.
Then after that is, get through Poirier, and then you're going to see really what he's made of, aren't you, when he enters sort of, the top 5 or whatever.
Like a Gaethje or because Gaethje's younger, probably has a little bit more miles to go, in his career. But yeah, like, I don't know. There's going to be some hard matchups for Saint Denis once he gets past Poirier. If he does
it's a hard division.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, 55.
And the crazy part about this game is that if he doesn't get past Dustin Poirier, people will call him a fraud.
Yeah.
That's what they'll do. Like just one loss.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's a fraud. It's like, yo, dude, just look who he just beat like in his last couple fights. Come on, let's be real. But yeah,
Who
Saint
was
Denis,
his
Saint
last?
Denis,
Who
Yeah.
was his last win?
Matt Frovella.
Yeah,
And he was one that was coming up in top
True.
15 as well.
Yeah,
They're both kind of similar styles, just berserkers, guys, and they can just go in there and just hammer you down. But yeah, Saint Denis, France. Not my favorite place, but hey, gotta go with it.
I got a little French
What?
Canadian me, but I can't speak it. Don't worry.
All right, MVP. This is the signing that a lot of people are interested. I love it.
I think
love
it's
that.
great.
Yeah,
It's a great fight. It's going to be entertaining as well. They're both showmen, aren't they?
yeah, I love it. Hey,
Uh,
MVP has done things in that cage that no one has ever done.
Oh, he's an absolute savage.
And
Yeah.
probably no one will ever do. Like, he
Yeah.
took a selfie in the middle of a. Remember that?
Yeah, it cost him a point. I
Yeah.
watched it.
What else?
I
He
watched
rolled
that
the
other day.
Pokemon ball
After he
Yeah.
took him out.
after he'd
Yeah.
cracked Cyborg's skull.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I was there for that. I think that was London.
Yeah, he
Bellator,
rubs me the wrong way, to be honest. But hey,
Yeah.
give respect where it's due, though.
He's
still.
good. He he puts bums on seats.
Yeah.
doesn't he?
Well,
He's-
that's what he wants to do.
Mm.
I think when you're a personality like that,
It's
you
in-
want people to hate you. You don't really
Yeah.
want
No,
fans.
yeah, you for
it's
sure.
an
It's the
interesting
McGregor
matchup
thing
as
too,
well
right?
because Kevin Holland is a good striker. I don't think
Mhm.
he's as elite as MVP,
Mhm.
but I believe he's a better grappler, far better grappler.
Oh yeah.
So, and he's a legit grappler as well. Not that you see a great deal of it because it's not his style,
Yeah.
but maybe a sensible
Right.
game plan would be to
Sensible.
wrestle. to
That's
use-
the
Yeah.
word sensible.
Yeah.
Have we seen Kevin Holland sensible
Never.
though? Never.
but
he
in
wants
this
to get the
fight,
show.
you know,
Yeah.
I think it would be a good idea to try and exploit or try and get him into a grappling exchange,
Yeah.
even if it just slows him down a little and puts some lactic acid in the muscles. Everyone knows, you know, what it's like to strike after a wrestling exchange, you know. So I think it'd be good, a good game plan.
Kevin Holland's favored to win.
It
Really?
is.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I wasn't
Minus
expecting that.
130.
Yeah, because like if MVP doesn't, if he doesn't show out on the first one, especially against like look what Hamzat did to Kevin Holland. Now, like we all know Kevin Holland enough
Mm.
that like that's Chimaev and anything can happen in MMA. But like if he has a boring ass decision and just barely
Yeah.
beats him, he's still on the back burner in my eyes. So I had breakfast beside Hamzat this
But
morning. Actually,
we've seen
made
him.
me so nervous.
How
but-
big is he?
What's that?
Hamzat. He's fucking
He's
huge.
huge. True.
You look
true.
at him and you think, wow, how
Yeah.
did he ever make welterweight?
Plus, that card was so fucked. How they switched. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a Diaz fan till I die, right? But at the same sense, like they were about to do Diaz really dirty, and I liked how they switched everything around. But like, what's your guys' theory on that? Do you think that was like an honest situation, or do you think that was literally like?
No, there was of course some fuckery.
There's
going on.
gotta
in
be
MMA.
fuckery, right?
There's always fuckery.
How do you
going
have
on
3
somewhere.
fights like that change
There's
just because one guy missed
something-
weight by 10 pounds?
Yeah,
Something
oh
fishy.
yes,
You know,
yes,
like
yes.
I don't want to like Hamza. I'm never gonna listen to this, but
Yeah.
like like as a professional, you got to make weight, and if you miss weight by anything more than a pound or a point or whatever,
Yeah.
in my
It may-
eyes,
you haven't tried.
no, like you
No.
gotta at least know, and like shit happens, like people's flights get fucked up, and like there's so many variables in this fight, excuses, whatever, right? But like 10 pounds, man, I just
Yeah,
like, even if they told you to stop cutting, something went wrong. At least he's an 85er now. That probably might
Well,
never
you-
happen again.
Maybe
right?
you could ask him tomorrow.
Yeah, right. I was too nervous to even
Yeah.
fucking ask him for a picture. I showed him our last selfie. We came to Thailand at the same time last year. Had a stopover in Qatar, and I met him for the first time. But you could just tell he's kind of like such a nice guy, and he never say no. But like he almost like the Justin Bieber, how the paparazzis and stuff. Once you get so famous, right? It's like I don't want to be that guy that fucking asking him for a pic and stuff. Like he just wants to get his work. And like,
yeah.
but I understand it, like half these guys are so like you're walking in the Lions down, everybody knows who that guy is, right? Like they all want
I think when
they want
you're
a picture.
more like, because we're fighters as well, we're less fanboy.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas if you see like the gym at the moment when they're training in the cage, you have people just queuing up, just
Yeah.
watching, trying to film, and then you're having people having to go
Yeah.
over them and say, "Can you stop filming?"
Yeah, it's like, why are you filming?
Yeah.
Like, what? Why? Like, to me, I don't understand
Mm.
why you're filming someone else when they're training. It's not you training with them.
Right.
It's like I can understand if
If
you're
you're
filming.
there, yeah.
You're there, you're with them, you're filming. but you're just outside watching somebody filming them. Like, what you is that important for you to post that? Like,
yeah.
I
The
saw
like,
this
you
guy.
care about the likes
Yeah,
that much?
yeah.
Like,
Just like, come on, let the guy be normal.
yeah,
That's why I think like fighters, they, you know, to me, fighters are different because that's like one place they can go and kind of be normal, and
Right.
everybody will treat them normal.
Yeah.
Is a gym, like where they train, right?
Mhm.
And I think people need to realize, like, people don't understand that. They just like, oh, it's someone.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be different when you're in a setting when you've got like your pro team class, you know, like here it's quite, you've got so many different levels in one place at the same time. Whereas generally speaking, like back home, if the pro classes are on, that's all that's on. It's just the gym's just open for the pro team.
Right.
So you won't have like hobbyists, or you certainly won't have just spectators there anyway. You'll have,
it's a different vibe here, right?
Yeah.
It's a different vibe here, and that's why people like it as well. But then you gotta be respectful too. And there's signs everywhere that says don't film.
Don't film. Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you know, just people don't listen. It's like, are you that ignorant or you just can't read?
Yeah. And like, it's people get like missed signals, right? Like Jordan could be like, certain people can videotape, right? Like if you don't know if you're one of those
by the gym,
exactly, right?
Or
like
you're training with some other people and you guys are filming each other. That's a different story.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
you're not filming someone else.
Yeah, you're not.
The thing is, as
random
well,
people, you know.
The thing is with it as well, when you're training, sometimes you're training, or quite a lot of the time you're training, you're going to be doing stuff that you're preparing for a fight.
Exactly.
So you don't want this footage leaked. You don't want your opponents finding out what you're working on, or stuff that you're doing well, stuff you're good at. You know, it's got to be like a bit of discretion.
There has to be, because you never know who's watching this, that knows this guy, that knows this guy, and all of a sudden some kind of little clip comes out where you're in the background.
Right,
doing some shit, and they're like, "Yo, they send this to your opponent's coach." Somehow it ends up in their hands.
Especially here, when if you've got someone just posting a story of whatever they're doing in the cage training, well, that's now could be if they tag Bang Tao in it, something it could end up.
It spreads
everywhere.
quick. It can. And it's just, you know, I guess you got to be a little bit more respectful to the situation. I think it's more of the spectators that are not like training or nothing like that. Like, they just gotta think, you know, and there's signs everywhere. Come on, respect the signs. Now going back to MVP, man, Kevin Holland, he's a good striker too. It's not like he's a bad striker. Of course, there's levels in the grappling compared to MVP, but I think Kevin Holland's gonna go in there. He's gonna do what he always does. He's gonna go in there and fight their fight and try to beat him in their fight, and it's not gonna work out well. And MVP is just gonna show out. That's what's gonna happen. I think that's what's gonna happen.
But then also, because you've got Kevin Holland, who's a showman too. And the MVP isn't used to having that mirrored back at him. You know, he's the showman. Yeah.
I think he'll enjoy it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But it's going to be it's something new, isn't it? Something. It's exciting because you don't quite know yet how it's going to pan out.
It's like meeting somebody that like you don't know, but you met them and they're good at what you're good at, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool to have someone that's good at something that I'm good at. I think that's what's going to happen in there. But I don't know, just MVP, his movement, and I think his speed. And we already saw what Wonder Boy did to Kevin Holland. You know, and I think Michael Page is better than Wonder Boy, younger and better. How old is
I think he's crisper as well, and I do think he is.
And his punches are not like orthodox. Like, it doesn't come from the basic angles. Because Wonder Boy's his like punches are like more what is it?
I don't see that they've got the power.
Yeah,
it's more like a point scoring sort of karate style.
But MVP does have the power.
He does. But he's also no,
a lot of pressure. Pressure becoming.
It's like he's more like a broom.
Dare I say it? That I think MVP is just a bit of a better version than Thompson, like a better version of Wonderboy Thompson, and like you said, a younger, faster.
But does that have? Okay, before we talk about what I want to say, you pick Holland or MVP? You think?
I go Holland because I like him more. Like I think it's a toss up.
Like
it's a 50-50. It's a 50-50, right?
I think
I'm gonna pick who I like more.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think it's whoever gets a game plan off. If Kevin Holland fights the right fight, he has a route to victory. Do I think he'll fight that fight? No. So I'm going with MVP. But I agree with you. It could go either way.
And pressure can work with you or against you. You guys ever remember that cuz the motto thing on the fire, Mike Tyson? Like, you can use it to cook your food, you can, but like it can burn you quick too,
Yeah.
right? And I like there's like look, was Kevin Holland's last fight Hamzat, or has he's fought since
He's
then,
fought
right?
since then. Yeah, he's fought Thompson. He's fought. He beat a couple.
Thompson was his last win.
No. Thompson lost to. He lost to Thompson.
Okay, yeah, I don't even follow him enough, but like, I just think there's a lot more pressure from MVP coming from Bellator. Like I think there's high level guys from Bellator that are, if not better than UFC. Like obviously, if you know enough about the sport, like there's top level guys in all three of those huge promotions, right? But like UFC is the big one, right? Like he's going to UFC because he wants that UFC treatment as well, right?
He wants the exposure, man.
And he does well under pressure. He loves that treatment.
I think he's also been smart with it as well, because he could have been in the UFC years ago.
True.
He wanted to be, but
like Sean O'Malley too, right? Like how Sean O'Malley's so open about how he picked his certain matchups. Like he could have got a title shot much quicker. Like, but he purposely, he's like, why would I fight that guy? Like I'm building my stock. Like, and essentially, like that's like a lot of guys and coaches like frown upon that shit, right? But like, yeah, I'm not saying go out there and fight bums, but like it is a business, right? You got to sell it, and like you gotta impress. So like he's done well at that, right?
I think he's arrived at the UFC at the right time too.
Like, he did get that Chito matchup.
Well, he doesn't have much time left. He's 36 as well, and but the thing about it, he hasn't taken much damage throughout his career.
True.
He's been very
he's
elusive.
A finisher, right?
Yeah, he's a finisher. He's been very elusive. He's been knocked out, but Douglas Lima, man, I remember watching him prepare. Like Douglas Lima was here preparing at Fight Club, preparing for the Michael Venom Page fight, the title fight. And he was down here. I remember watching him. Man, that
drilling calf kick to uppercut.
Yeah, that was just crack.
That was
those
a knee,
kicks,
right?
Like they would just boom. Like
he caught him with the knee.
Calf
kick.
And then as he
was getting up,
he took his base out with a calf kick, and MVP just rushed to stand up rather than doing like a.
It was like an uppercut.
It was an uppercut as he tried to rush back to his feet,
and then he hammer fisted him.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
but that was him not doing like a technical stand up. It was like dropped with a calf kick and then just rushed and just got.
But even in that fight, Lima was having problems because he was so fast in and out. Like when he came in and out, but then he timed the calf kick perfectly, and it just worked out for him. Got the knockout. But yeah, like watching Lima train for that fight, like he was just slamming calf kick, just like just there's an empty gym. The gym was empty. It was just like me, his coach, and the other coach, and him training. And I was just watching, right? Because I was going to interview him, and I was like, Jesus Christ, like how hard can this dude kick? Like,
calf kicks changed the game of MMA. This guy called me the calf kick a couple weeks ago, actually. Yeah, and I felt that for a fucking week, man. Like I didn't let you know, but like,
they're nasty.
And he's the only fighter I think where his name, like you have to say it with his nickname. Like when you say Michael Page, it just doesn't sound right.
No,
it doesn't. Right?
No, I agree. Yeah,
it sounds weird, right? But when you say Michael Venom Page, you're like, oh, that sounds normal. Yeah. But Venom is not a normal name.
Even MVP, he might have copied my boy GSP a bit there.
Hey,
AC,
you got to copy the best, right?
That's it, right?
You think we need to have Wonderboy Thompson versus? Is that the next fight that should happen?
Thompson versus
MVP?
Yeah, MVP.
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's not interesting.
Nah, I don't know.
I think, like I said earlier, MVP is a better version of him. So to me, I don't really want to see that. I'd like to see him fight.
Plus, Wonderboy's old, eh?
I'd like. I mean, he's got to face a wrestler at some point, like
Usman.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see MVP versus Edwards, but that's me because I'm British, and that's a great fight.
That's the fight the UFC I think wants. I think if MVP wins this fight,
I'd love to.
MVP wins.
He'll be fast tracked.
I think he might get a title.
That'd be great.
Because they gotta do a UK card.
Yeah.
Hey, why not?
And that's just me because I'm from the UK. Yeah. And it's an exciting fight.
Hey, I'm not even from the UK, but I'd understand why they would put that fight together.
Plus, like if he was to lose, like how he lost to Lima against somebody like Wonderboy or something, like then the UFC they lose the stock from him, right? Whereas if they fast track him,
he's not a Chandler where he's gonna go in there and just have the fight of the years
Yeah.
every time. That's not gonna happen.
Like
so.
Diaz, how like they always say how Diaz, if he wins or loses, his stock goes up.
Yeah.
Right? Like people.
I'm not a big fan of the Diaz brothers.
No,
I know
you're
people
not,
love
eh?
the Diaz brothers and stuff, but I'm not a huge fan
But
of
do you
Diaz
agree with
brothers.
that though? That his stock goes up when he loses and shit.
No,
You don't, eh?
I think
I
that's
think
just
he's
an
all-
illusion.
I think
Like,
he's always in. It's always entertaining, isn't it, to watch
Yeah.
him?
Like look at McGregor
He
too,
did.
though. Like Edwards, like I watched that today. He Diaz versus Edwards, like clipped him. That was actually in the last minute of the fight.
Was that the one we pointed?
Yeah,
at?
it was, like you can say whatever you want. Like he was getting smoked the whole thing, right? And he's got his own flaws where like, you know, Diaz as far as like top level, he's never been there, right? Like he's never.
but
He's
gotten
fought those
himself there.
guys. Yeah, he has.
In
He's
terms
gotten
of
himself there.
superstardom, I think he has, but in terms of levels, not.
McGregor helped us.
Yeah, that's it.
That whole thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That fight never happened.
yeah.
We wouldn't even be talking about Nate.
I
Diaz.
agree, definitely.
We wouldn't.
Because I'm not really a fan of Nick per se, like I am Nate, right? Like, but they're very similar in things.
Yeah,
right?
I
But,
like their mindset and everything, but I just think that they're overrated. Like,
Oh,
people
I
put so much
completely
stock
agree with
into,
you.
Like Nick Diaz was a way better fighter than Nate Diaz. Nick Diaz was. If you look at when Nick Diaz was actually fighting like normal,
right,
like in his prime, like during like Strike Force days, like that was when he was like his best. Like he was beating the best dudes in the world, right? Nate Diaz was never at that level. He beat Conor,
right,
but who did he beat after that?
True.
He just got his ass whooped.
Yeah,
Masvidal, Leon Edwards. You know what I mean? Yeah, that one punch in the last minute, whatever. And then what is it? Like, didn't he lost to Jake Paul, right?
Boxing, yeah.
Yeah, like come on, we forget about that.
Yeah.
Like he lost to Jake Paul. Jake Paul's beating up cab drivers in Puerto Rico. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, for sure.
Nate Diaz is overrated.
Oh,
Like, people need to
He's definitely
people need to
overrated.
fucking realize that. There's just so hardcore cult following for them.
Also, as well, the sport has changed in the last 5 years dramatically. Yeah. And what worked for him then, being a good boxer and good at jiu-jitsu, well, it's not enough now. You know, you have to have more. You have to have wrestling. You have to be able to. You have to be able to check kicks. You have to know. You have to train Muay Thai as well. You have. It's a sport on the whole now. Whereas back when he was, I think, say coming up or when he got his reputation, the sport was different.
Yeah.
You get away with being. You still get away with being a good wrestler at that time, or just a good striker with good defense. Now it doesn't wash. You've got to be good everywhere. And I think the sport has moved on past where Nate Diaz is at and where he
who's
half
another
kicks aren't helping him either.
You know who's another example of like that old school style of fighter is Kron Gracie. Like, did you see his fights recently? Like, in the
didn't he
UFC?
lose to Charles?
He lost to
Jourdain?
Charles Jourdain, but it was like he was just pulling guard the whole time. It was just weird. Like, you're fighting MMA, dude. Like, you can't just.
You're not
pull
going to
guard the whole
Valhalla
time.
like that, bro. Like,
no, it's just like, and he's part of the Nate Diaz camp. You know what I mean? Like, they're all together. But you know, Nate Diaz, he's a very good example of not being one of the best in the world, but being one of the best in the world at promoting himself.
For sure.
And then situations come, opportunity come, and then he wins the fight. And that one fight was the Conor fight. Right?
Yeah.
And then he got the rematch, which he arguably maybe won. Maybe, I don't know. I don't really remember it. But the trilogy, maybe that's the one that brings him back to UFC.
I'm not interested in the trilogy. If I'm honest, I think it's bollocks. I'm not that. I mean, I'm always going to be a Conor fan to a certain degree. I think he's done great things for the sport. I do think that he's lost a bit of his wit now, and he isn't as. I don't think he's as entertaining as he was. And I mean, he's always going to be a household name. He's always going to, bring a crowd in. But really, who's he? Like, the only fight I'm interested in seeing him right now is the Chandler fight they've been promising forever. Just because I think stylistically it's good.
Yeah.
And other than that, I don't really care.
Yeah.
I definitely am not interested in seeing Nate Diaz and McGregor go again.
I think Chandler would beat him if he was to use his wrestling.
If he was to smart.
But he's going to fight him. He's going to fight him the way Conor wants him to fight him.
He's also going to go, as he does every time, balls to the wall.
Yeah, and his stock's going to go up regardless.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I love Chandler's a good shit. I like Chandler.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now another fight on the card, the next one, Gilbert Burns versus Jack Della.
Mm.
This is also kind of like the Saint Denis, Dustin Poirier situation. Because it's funny, I interviewed Gilbert Burns about 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Ahead of this fight, yeah, and he was telling me, I asked him that question, like, do you think this is one of those like old veteran versus young like contender fights? And he's just like, and I said, like, do you think it's something that the UFC is trying to do? He's like, no, they always been trying to do this. Because remember, 3 years ago, I was him. I was the young guy coming in and winning the fights, right? So he understands like what they're trying to do with Jack Della. Jack Della's good, but his last fight was not very good. His last fight was against Holland. He beat him by split decision. A lot of people thought Holland won that fight.
Yeah.
And I don't think he can do that against Gilbert Burns, man. Gilbert Burns will wrestle him.
I'm getting that guy confused. Who's the guy who fought Diego Lopez? Diego Lopez's first fight in the UFC. Like, you know what I'm talking?
Oh yeah.
He was a ranked guy.
But that's featherweight though. This is welterweight.
Yeah. I just got confused. Yeah,
Diego Lopes, right? Diego Lopes.
Yeah.
Or Lopez.
Yeah, I got the Jack Della confused with that guy.
Oh, Diego Lopes?
Yeah, no, not Diego Lopes. The guy that he fought on that card, right?
Yeah, they're totally different weight classes. But yeah, Jack Della's the Australian cat.
Right.
But Jack Della's so good. His boxing is very crisp. His grappling is decent. Gilbert Burns, you know, he's getting up there in age. He's 37. There's a 10-year age gap between these guys. Gilbert Burns is the underdog. Jack Della's the favorite. I like Gilbert Burns, man. I think Gilbert Burns, nothing. I think he's still got something left in the tank.
Yeah.
And every time
people were expecting him to get flattened by Chimaev, weren't they?
Yeah.
And, you know, held a good account of himself.
Yeah, that was a great fight. That was one of the fight of the years, right? I think Chimaev, that helped Chimaev a lot, that fight.
And then he fucked his arm up in the next fight, right?
Yeah, that's
too, right?
Yeah, he ripped his shoulder in the first round.
Yeah.
And that's why he fought the whole fight like he did. You know,
he
couldn't throw his. It's hard to fight with one arm.
It's hard to fight. Especially when
it's hard to fight with four arms.
Yeah.
You know, if you had four arms, it's hard to fight with four. You know, let alone one, right? So Gilbert, you know, and I think he has the better overall skill set.
I'm gonna go against the grain here, and so I have Gilbert. I think he's more well-rounded. I think it's a dangerous fight, and he could definitely get finished. But my head says, Gilbert Burns is more rounded, and the veteran in him, I think, will pull him through. That's my prediction for that one.
And he's been fighting like just title fights and just savages the whole time. Jack Della, man, his win streak is 16 fights right now. 16
What's
fights.
his total record?
His total record is 16-2. He started his career 0-2.
Really?
And just ran the table. Now he's 6-0 in the UFC. But his last two fights have been split decisions.
Right.
Which means like basically that's an even fight. Like,
100%.
You know, that's like a draw. In the judges' eyes.
Sometimes.
You know, not always.
The judging's been pretty fucked up actually as well, eh?
But the thing is, like, the last two opponents were Kevin Holland and Basil Hafez, who came in like on short notice, and he wasn't able to put these guys away. Can he put away Gilbert Burns? I think he can. It's just like, is he gonna get the opportunity to put away Gilbert Burns?
Yeah.
Because Gilbert Burns is a smart guy. He goes in there with like game plans and all that stuff, right? So yeah, I'm gonna go.
And he's only got 3 rounds in order to do it as well.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on that. Burns for sure.
Yeah, I think Burns is the pick here.
He's not been finished many times, eh? Burns?
Not many.
Oh, fucking.
Man, that title fight was so crazy against his own teammate.
Yeah.
I loved it, man. I love that they would.
He dropped him too, eh? Like he dropped him early, right?
He almost finished him in the first round and then got knocked out in the second, right? And now they're back training together.
Yeah.
He helped them for this camp.
Yeah. I like that. The last guy actually came up my memories this week as well. The last guy that I lost to when I decided to move up to 135 when I wasn't a 135er. But he smoked me and weight tapped me. And we got to train actually last year. Maybe he's watching this. But anyway, when I got back to Canada last year or whatever, I drove an hour drive, which would only took me an hour drive. It was a snowstorm. It took me 3 hours to get there. But anyway, I won the round. But sparring is much different than a fight, right? But, you know,
Makes you
It's
feel a bit
cool.
better.
That's what's awesome about MMA, though, right? Like, we could still train together. Like, I've trained with all 3 of the guys. When I was 1 and 3, I've trained with every single guy that I fought. Canada's pretty small, obviously. Big country, but less people than California, right? So, but yeah, that's what's awesome about the sport, right? Like, doesn't matter where you're from or who you fought, you'll train together for the greater good, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Now the next one, Peter Yan versus Song Yadong or Yadong Song. Well, if you're whatever.
Peter for me.
He has the worst nickname. Jesus, you need to stop that with that Kung Fu Kid. Kung Fu Kid out of here with that garbage. We need to give a new nickname, like Donkey Kong or something. I don't know. But Song, the Donkey Kong Yadong.
I dig
That
it.
sounds better, right? Hey, I can say that. No. Or Kung Fu Panda. No, that's even worse. Anyways, I look at this matchup as Peter Yan. He's on a 3-fight losing streak. He's lost his last 4 out of 5, which is wild to me, right? Because so many people didn't expect that to be like Peter's career, but here we are. And he's fighting Song Yadong, who's on a 2-fight win streak. And I think just Song Yadong is like a younger version of Peter Yan. This, in my eyes, that's what I see in this matchup.
Yeah.
He's got good hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has.
I think Song Yadong is the perfect style to beat Peter, like at his own game, like as far as heavy-handed and stuff.
Yeah.
But like I keep going against you there, John. But like his last 3 fights, I think he won 2 out of those 3. Like my personal own opinion, and it doesn't matter what I.
One of them
O'Malley, like,
yeah.
and that was one that I was like dead set on. I watched it like so many times since, and I can see how they scored it for O'Malley after. Like, it's different when you rewatch it, right? But like,
it's also different if you're sat there watching it without commentary.
And I had money. I won like $500 on Aljamain there, but like, man, I was biting my nails. Like, I actually remember telling everybody that I thought Aljo lost against Peter.
A lot of people did
too, right? Like, and then O'Malley, like on the mic, it didn't even sound like he thought he won until
he was surprised.
until after, right? But like, so like that's fighting though, right? Like, don't leave in the
those
hands
2
of the
fights,
judges.
Of course, there's a big argument if Yan won those fights. Merab fight, there is no argument.
No,
like,
that's the one where I'm like, but then look at Merab though. He's been fucking everyone up.
Some inside information about that one. Peter Yan went into that fight with a torn shoulder and like a bum leg.
Really?
That's why he wasn't able to strike like he normally does. And then it's pretty amazing how he defended the takedowns as much as he did with his injuries, right?
Yeah.
But his manager told me when he was doing his camp here at Tiger for this fight, his manager told me that Peter is not going to tell everybody what happened, but I will tell you. Yeah. like this was the situation, and it's like I want to see a reinvigorated Peter Yan, because I've always been like, I always liked his style. I thought he was the guy that's going to take over TJ Dillashaw's, like, because I thought TJ Dillashaw was the greatest 135er of all time. Me too. Like, but he was enhanced, but he's the only one that got caught. But anyways, But then Peter Yan, I thought Peter Yan was going to be that next guy, But then here we are on 3-fight losing streak. I think, man, Peter Yan just has bad luck. For sure. But Song Yadong has more power, because we know Peter Yan to be a volume guy, right? So what is it? Volume versus power?
Yeah, I mean, they can both wrestle. Then I wouldn't say either of them were grapplers per se. So I think we're going to be in for a treat. Yeah, a good fist fight. Yeah, I agree that Yadong's got more power. You look like the Ricky Simone fight. That wasn't too long ago. He looks fucking sharp. Yeah, Ricky Simone. I thought I rate him as well. I think he's good.
Last guy to beat Merab.
Yeah, Ricky actually was doing good in the beginning of that fight, and then he just hit a wall. Song Yadong figured it out, like, hey, I got to stop this, and I'm good. Stopped it, and they just put a beating on him. Right, that was his last fight. No, his last fight. That was the fight before that. He won in the 5th round knockout. His last fight was against Chris Gutierrez, who's also really good. Yeah, he's known for the calf kicks. Beat him by decision. Was that 5 rounds too?
I think they did. Frankie.
So he's going from 2 back-to-back 5-round fights to a 3-round fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Changes the game,
I don't
right?
know. I don't know if he has that cardio like Petr does, because Petr does have pretty damn good cardio. So I don't know. I'm gonna pick.
I think we're in for a treat.
Yeah, this is gonna be a good fight. I'm gonna go with the young kid, man. I think that I'm gonna go with the Asian.
I'm gonna go Yadong as well.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a great fight, but I think Song might pull it out. The next one, Curtis Blades versus Jailton Almeida. Jailton Almeida, what an incredible talent he is. Have you been watching this guy? Man, like he's not even a heavyweight, but he's in there at heavyweight, wrestling the heavyweights and dominating them. It's true. Once you get a heavyweight on their back and you know what you're doing on top, they're never gonna get back up.
Right.
Like Almeida's showing you that. And then
unless it's Derek Lewis.
Yeah, Derek Lewis just gets
stands
up.
up.
Like,
Just stands up.
yeah, exactly. Like Derek Lewis has the best takedown defense, standing up. But he's fighting Curtis Blades, who is also a wrestler.
Yeah.
But we've seen him not wrestle at all and try to strike with a striker and get knocked out. So, but this one I think it's going to be a grappling affair. I'm going to take Jailton Almeida because Jailton Almeida can finish on the ground. We've never seen Curtis Blades. Yeah. Well, we've seen him ground and pound. Yeah.
I'm going to agree with you, and it's just because of what he's doing at the moment and the hype. But I don't think Blades is going to be the one to derail him.
Yeah, I'm with it for sure.
Yeah, I like Blades, but Blades just his in-fight decision making is just sometimes it's very frustrating because you're watching the fight and you're like when he fought Sergey, got knocked out. Remember that fight? Everybody's like, why are you standing there with your back on the fence trying to strike against a power striker that clearly has better boxing than you do?
Right.
And everybody that probably bet on Blades, they're just like, oh my God. And then we were watching this unfold in front of our eyes and he gets sparked, right? It's almost like you could see it happening. So Almeida, I got you, man. I think it's great. There's Gamrot versus RDA.
Oh, that's insane. Right on.
I like RDA. I've always liked RDA.
That's another one, like the old school versus the new guys coming in, you know what I mean? And what is it? Michel Pereira. You know Michel Pereira?
Yeah.
He's fighting Mikhail Olenjanchek. I forgot. I don't know how to say his last name.
Yeah, I don't even know.
But he's a power striker as well. That's a pretty good fight. Any other good ones? The other ones, it's okay. You guys, anything else interest you guys about this card?
I looked at the prelims yesterday and I was surprised at how good they were, and as well as the main. Like the whole card is great.
These are like fight night main card fights on the prelims, right? So it's great. It's
Any
great.
25ers on the card?
No.
No.
Yeah. CJ Vergara and
Okay.
Asu Almabiev.